Hello and welcome to I Am Well podcast. I'm your host Gemma, a nutritionist and a hormonal fasting coach, passionate about self-development through a holistic lens. But my biggest mission is to help empower women and get them to reconnect and trust their bodies again. So if you're a woman who just wants to better herself and live her best life, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get to it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the I Am Well podcast. I'm talking to you all today about space. I have been obsessed with space at the moment. Don't leave me yet. Don't stop this podcast. Okay? Trust me, it's going somewhere. This is going somewhere. But one thing I have discovered about myself is when I become obsessed on a topic, I really become obsessed, okay? If I love something, I will do whatever it takes to find out every single part about that topic. And I didn't realize I could become this obsessed with it, really. I didn't know I had this much obsession within me. So that's an interesting fact about myself that I learnt today. Not today. I learnt it over the weekend, over the long Easter weekend. I hope everyone had a beautiful Easter holiday. And because we are a nutrition podcast and I do talk about healthy eating and stuff, I hope you had the yummiest of chocolate. I hope all your blood sugar levels were spiking like crazy. And that's okay because that means that you are enjoying your time and you are living it up, which I love, all right? I want to remind you all that that is completely fine. And that's why I love what I teach with my clients, because we're not just focusing on strict meal plans and diets here and there and all those stupid limitations. We're focusing on creating a lifestyle that works for you. So when you have these, celebrations of Easter, you can eat what you want to eat and have fun and feel like you're still living it up. Another thing that I realized about myself is I do have ADHD. And I love that probably all the people who listen to me on this podcast are probably like, yeah, we can tell, because I go off on tangents. But not just that, I literally become obsessed with simple topics that come up that just pique my interest. I cannot stop. So space, let's go back to that. Let's get back on track. When it comes to space, I started seeing TikToks on space. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he now is constantly on my algorithm. If you don't know who he is, watch out because you'll probably become obsessed with space like me. And the thing is, it's so fascinating and it hurts my head because we literally cannot comprehend that we are on planet Earth right now, just floating out in space. We're actually moving super fast, orbiting around the sun, so fast, but it obviously doesn't feel like it to us because space is massive. We're tiny, just on planet Earth. We're just tiny little ants. And our brains literally cannot comprehend this phenomenon. I was literally listening to people talk about dinosaurs that were here 200 million years ago. Oh God, I hope I got that right. I was talking about this with my family the other day that I started to get confused between billion and million. I'm pretty sure it's 200 million years ago dinosaurs were here. And we have been on planet Earth for 65 million years. That's insane. 200 million years the dinosaurs were on planet Earth just roaming about, and we've been here for 65 million. So here we go. I've already stuffed up. I mean, 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs were here, but they were on planet Earth for 200 million years first. And then there's us, 65 million years later that we've been here for. So we haven't even been on planet Earth for as long as what dinosaurs have. And you're probably like, Gemma, where is this going? Why are you talking about this? Okay, I'm so fascinated because it puts everything into perspective. Space puts everything into perspective. Understanding our history and how we're living and breathing entities on planet Earth, it puts everything into perspective. You know, we are so lucky to be here. If the dinosaurs didn't get hit by the asteroids, and by the way, it wasn't actually the asteroids that killed the dinosaurs, it was the ash that actually covered the sun, and that's why it happened. Just a little fact for you. It was uninhabitable, the planet. So that's why a lot of them became extinct. Now we still have some birds and crocodiles from the dinosaurs that are still with us today. But we wouldn't be living a civilized human race right now if it wasn't for that event happening. And there is a huge, there's galaxies and everything out there. And right now, all that we can find within our galaxy and within the space that they have been able to research is that we're the only ones living right now. And yes, sure, maybe there are some other entities out there that are living as well, but nothing like from what we have seen of what we're doing. That is such a gift. That is a massive, massive gift. And here we are getting stressed over finances. Here we are, trying to figure out politics and choose the person who's going to make all the rules for us. Here we are trying to get that, perfect job, or working overtime so that we can make more money for our family so we can go on a holiday and we can do this. But we're not just waking up in the morning and going, oh my God, I am so lucky to be here. I've had a thought now. Real problems are just a figment of our imagination. And that is very broad, and someone may come at me with that because they might have excuses, or that's not true because there's problems going, people, in other poorer countries that, that's real problems happening. And I get that. But you don't know, there are some people out there that have it worse than us. 100%. Sometimes they're happier than us too, which is insane. That's insane to put that into perspective, that there's people out there that may have less than you, but they're happier than you. Because what we get taught by society is that the more you have, the happier you are. But it's just not true. So I've become so fixated on space and just understanding that we're just these tiny little ants floating on planet Earth out in the middle of nowhere, which is just crazy. And that all in all, everyone has their opinions on the afterlife and their opinions on what happens when we pass, if we have a soul, all of that stuff. But from what scientists have gathered at the moment, scientifically, from a scientific perspective, there's nothing to say that there is an afterlife or that there is something something for us to look forward to after we die, kind of thing, or that our souls will still walk this earth, or anything. There's nothing scientific to prove that so. And instead of you getting stressed about that and worried about that, start to think that, wow, I have this one life. How am I going to live it? Because that is the whole point. And that's the point that we forget day in and day out. We forget what the point of actually being here is about. That good old, what is the meaning of life? Well, it's up to you. What's the meaning of your life? What's the meaning of your life today? Why are you here? What's your purpose, right? What do you want? If it came to the end of your life, what would you be happy to look back on and go, yes, I'm so glad I did that? And I'm bringing this to you because over the last few weeks, I'm not going to lie, I was going back into my old ways. I was worrying about finances, worrying about our future, worrying about money, and it always comes down to money. I have one of those, classic money stories where growing up, you felt like, money doesn't grow, you were told money doesn't grow on trees, or, those classic money stories where you were always worried about overspending or losing money in case you would disappoint others. And that was coming up for me again. Nothing had happened yet, or if at all, nothing is going to happen, but I kept worrying about the future because I knew certain bills were coming up. I knew certain things had to be paid within this next month, and I was worrying about it, and nothing had happened yet. And I know that people go through this all the time. Why am I talking about it when I'm a hormone specialist and a nutritionist? Well, because that also has an effect on your hormones, and that also has an effect on your health. Your environment is one of the biggest factors on your hormones and your gut health, your health overall. And if you're getting stressed about money like I was, that stress, your body doesn't know the difference. It is going into fight or flight mode constantly. So this is why I'm talking about it, because I know that what I went through is such a common thought and fear for a lot of people out there. And I want you to put it into perspective. I want you to remember that we are tiny, tiny little entities that are alive on Earth, floating out in space, and how miraculous your life is. So today, what are you going to do to make sure that you're living it? No, you don't need to go out on some fancy holiday vacation or something like that. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, what are you grateful for? When you woke up this morning, what were you grateful for? I was grateful for that I had a bed. I have a roof over my house. Like, we are able to have aircon in here when it gets really hot. Like, that is such a privilege. I think we're forgetting, like, it's a privilege now when we have a shower that we have hot water. That is a privilege. It wasn't that long ago when they only ever had cold water. We have dishwashers. We are able to go outside and go for a walk, and that people aren't, well, depending where you live, people aren't, shooting guns and things on the street, and there's not a tiger coming at you that you have to defend yourself off with. We are so privileged, and we forget this. There's so much to be grateful for. My kids coming into my bed in the morning, me giving them the biggest cuddles, and then them telling me that they love me. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for that. When you start to take yourself out of this situation that is making you become emotionally reactive, you start to be the observer. You start to observe things, and you start to realize what really matters in life. And I always thought, when it came to money, I was always like, once I have enough money, I'm going to get a really nice house. I'm going to live in my ideal location. I'm going to buy my family whatever they want. We're always going to have the nicest of things. And it's hit me that I don't need that. I don't need that. Even if I had all the money in the world, I don't need a fancy car. I don't need a fancy house. All my thing is, and this is my love language, is experiences. All I want is to experience life. I want to travel. I want to see as much of this world as I can. I want to explore this world as much as possible. And what I was realizing that I was doing constantly is going back to that money story that, once again, I'm sure this is quite common for a lot of people out there, but I was quickly spending money that was coming to me because I had a fear of holding on to money. And that sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but it is such a common subconscious block for all of us, where we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves with money. So what we subconsciously do, as soon as it comes to us, we get rid of it. And that's what I was doing without even realizing it. And I know all of this. I teach it. But sometimes it's so much easier to teach it than to do the shadow work for yourself. And shadow work is looking at the parts of you that is hard to look at because it brings up shame, it brings up guilt. And that was, for me, that was a part of my shadow work that I had to do. And I'm so thankful that it came up because it's going to help me grow. See me going off on a tangent? Now I've forgotten what I was talking about. But what I wanted to reiterate is what you think about constantly is what you will attract. And what I was thinking about constantly is, what if we lose our money? What if we don't have enough? And what happens? I lose the money and we don't have enough. It's exactly what happens because that's what I kept thinking about. So that's what I manifest. That's what I manifest to happen. What is harder to do is announcing what you want to the universe, speaking it out loud or speaking in your head, owning it with a mantra, or just, even saying it inside to yourself, inside your head to yourself. That is instantly putting it out into the universe. And then it's about letting go. You've popped it out to the universe. You told them what you wanted, and just knowing that the universe always has your back. The universe will guide you. And you just have to be conscious enough to be able to see when it is trying to guide you, when it is throwing out options for you, and not trying to always take action and control things. And that was my biggest thing. Over this Easter weekend, that was the biggest challenge for me. I did a lot of spiritual work around this, but a lot that was coming up was that I wanted to take control of certain things in my business, certain things in my life, and I wanted to fix it right now. So I wanted to take action right now, but everything was telling me, my gut, the tarot cards that I was getting, everything, my intuition, it was just all telling me that I needed to stop taking action and I needed to just go with the flow of the universe. And that's what I really want you to take away from this episode is stop getting in your own way. Stop trying to control everything in life, because everything in life, it may seem like it's just coming at you as a negative. It's just throwing things at your way and you're like, oh my God, here we go again. But if you switch up that mindset and realize that the universe is actually trying to guide you, but you're not listening and you're getting in your own way and you're trying to fix it and you're trying to take action. If you realize this, things start to become easier when you just have patience, you just take a step back and you let the universe guide you. And that's what I did over this weekend. And believe me, it was actually the scariest thing, because for me, realizing that I have ADHD and by the way, this is a self-diagnosis. I actually have never been diagnosed with this. I'm just like here going, okay, I have ADHD, which I feel like is such an ADHD thing to do. But I actually have no idea, guys. I'm just diagnosing myself. And I am not a therapist or a doctor or anyone. So I cannot do that. But anyway, that's what I realized I was doing. I was getting in my way. So this weekend was really hard because I stood back and I actually just enjoyed life. Is what everyone always says, is just be in the moment and understand that shit's going to happen. And if it does, that's okay. Know that it's just the universe trying to guide you in another direction. So that brings me back to space. Why the hell did I bring up space at the start? Well, because do you understand that life, our existence, is so precious and so amazing. Like, why are we getting in our own way here? What I want you to do is to start being grateful for everything that you have in life. Yes, things might seem tough right now, but I want you to flip it on its head and think, okay, what's going well though? And what do I want in life? Start manifesting, start believing in your vision, and start thinking, okay, what is the best case scenario that's going to happen for me over this next month, over this next year? And start picturing that happening. And as soon as you get a negative thoughts come in that says, oh no, that can't happen, I want you to go back and think about space again. Sounds ridiculous, but it always works for me. Think about space. And when you say, oh, that can't happen, go, oh, really? We are on planet Earth and we are orbiting the sun out in space, where there is so many more galaxies out there that we have not even scratched the surface with. And, 200 million years ago, dinosaurs roamed this planet. And you're telling me that my vision isn't possible? Think again. Okay? That is my full stop, full purpose moment right there. That's why I constantly think about space. Every time I get a negative thought that pops into my head, I think about space. Every time my brain says, you can't do that, you're not smart enough, there is no way in hell that can happen, I think about space and say to myself, really? Because riddle me that, brain, how we're just floating on planet Earth out in space, and that there's so much out there that we still don't know about. The sun is literally going to die out in 6 billion years, which means that Earth will become inhabitable in 2 billion years. I think they think it will be 2 billion years. But you're telling me that, I don't know, my dream to achieve more wealth or more money in my business or more success for myself isn't going to happen? Yeah, I'm not taking that bullshit. Because it is. Call it for what it is. It's bullshit. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. And this is something that's helped me for the last 2 weeks. And I just know that it will resonate with someone out there. And I hope that it's a light bulb moment for you to stop worrying and start living your life. Start living it. It's never too late to just start doing things for you and start enjoying this life, because it is precious and you never know when it could end at any moment. Random episode, I know, so random, but very, very much needed. And I really felt called to speak on this because it's something that I'm going through right now and something I'm really, really passionate about. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you liked this episode, please leave me a rating or review because it means so much to me. I'll do a happy little dance. You won't see it because I'm not filming that. And I will talk to you all in the next episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.